It's Thursday, the 16th of April, 2026. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories in 5 minutes. Let's go with story number 1, which is just a ripper of a story. It has been a decades-long legal battle between the descendants of legendary miners Lang Hancock and Peter Wright, who basically opened the Pilbara to large-scale iron ore mining. The battle has ended, for now at least, and Australia's richest person and daughter of Hancock, Gina Rinehart, will have to pay hundreds of millions of dollars in royalties to her opponents. Justice Jennifer Smith in the Western Australian Supreme Court handed down her judgment more than 13 years after Wright Prospecting first launched its claim against Rinehart's Hancock Prospecting.
And both sides had a win. Justice Smith dismissed Wright's claim for a half share of Hancock's East Angler's iron ore deposit, but she found that Wright and another claimant had succeeded in making a claim for a share of past and future royalties from Hope Downs iron ore deposit. So lost out on East Anglers, won on Hope Downs. Hope Downs is actually mined by Hancock and Rio Tinto in a joint venture, so Rio will have to cough up some of the money. Just in case you're not confused yet, enough yet. Two of Rinehart's children, John Hancock and Bianca Rinehart, also claimed they should be entitled to a greater share of the family empire. That was dismissed. But finally, after decades, we're getting to an answer.
In Australian corporate history, Sean, there's never been a fight quite like this one, right? Between these two heirs. The case is centred on thousands of pages of documents dating back decades, dozens of lawyers. The full proceedings have actually outlasted the original judge, who reached the compulsory retirement age before it could actually make it to trial. Justice Smith herself had to secure special approval to serve 2 years beyond her mandatory retirement in order just to work on and deliver her verdict.
Yeah, 1,600 pages were released yesterday. Both sides reviewing it. Now, an appeal is possible, probably likely. In the end, the decision rested on the court finding the legacy deed signed by Lang Hancock decades ago was still in force. It has been pretty amazing. It shows money doesn't buy you love. And I'd also like to say that during proceedings, it emerged that back in the 1980s, Lang Hancock wrote to his partner, Peter Wright. He said, I quote, "We have to solve this problem now rather than pass it on to the next generation," end quote. Well, they didn't succeed in that.
They certainly did not. Okay, story number 2. US President Donald Trump yesterday said that the war in Iran is close to over, again declaring victory for the US. He told a journalist from ABC News US that, and I quote, "We are about to see an amazing 2 days ahead. It comes as the US military continues to execute the blockade of Iranian ports." Yesterday, there were reports that a US destroyer intercepted 2 oil tankers that were attempting to leave Iran.
So there are hopes that negotiations will resume later in the week. Pakistani government suggested that. Trump even suggested that. Meanwhile, Australia, Canada and the UK joined 7 other national countries releasing a joint statement expressing deep concern for the worsening humanitarian situation and displacement crisis in Lebanon.
Story number 3, the Reserve Bank, Sean, started using social media platforms. Whoever said the Reserve Bank wasn't cool? They're on there explaining economic concepts like inflation, rolling out campaigns on Instagram, Facebook and Threads.
Yes, they're all owned by Meta, those guys. The latest post explains that why a loaf of bread that cost $3 in 2016 might cost $5 today. It explains that high inflation makes life expensive for all Australians. Prices really come back down. That's why the central bank doesn't really want them to go up to begin with. The Reserve Bank has improved its communication channel over the past 3 years. More speeches, press conferences, better website. Still got a bit of work to do. It doesn't have a huge Instagram or Facebook audience though, Michael.
No. Story number 4, ride-sharing group Uber has committed more than $10 billion to buying thousands of autonomous vehicles and taking stakes in their developers, really dropping its asset-light gig economy business model as robotaxis, you got to say it, disrupt the disruptor, really. Over the past year, Uber has announced partnerships with more than a dozen providers from China, from the US as well. It's also got plans to launch robotaxi services in at least 15 cities this year, according to the FT.
Now, this is a company synonymous with the gig economy, and it is changing. It upended the taxi industry by pioneering asset-light approach. Basically, drivers use their own vehicles to ferry passengers around. However, They are getting into buying the cars themselves. Earlier this week, electric vehicle maker Lucid said Uber had expanded a previous deal to invest $500 million in the company, 35,000 of its cars it's going to buy. Uber's shares down 23%, mostly because a little bit because of higher fuel costs and concerns about consumer demand, but mostly because of robotaxis. Uber is getting into that market now.
Last one, story number 5 could well be my favourite story of the week, Sean. This is great. A man has won an original Pablo Picasso painting worth close to $2 million in a charity raffle after buying a ticket for about $190. Ari Hadara is an engineer. He's also an art enthusiast, and he learned he was the winner on Tuesday when he answered a video call from Christie's auction house in Paris. His immediate reaction is probably a fairly typical one. He said, "How do I know this isn't a prank?"
He won the 1941 work by the Spanish master after a charity raffle that sold more than $120,000, raised about $20 million for Alzheimer's research. It's the third edition of the One Picasso for €100, 100 euros being the ticket price. It's a fundraising raffle done 3 times, according to BBC, raising tens of $millions for worthy causes. It's great. This year's prize was Head of a Woman, a portrait rendered in Picasso's signature style. What you're thinking in your head, Michael, that's exactly what it is. It depicts his partner and muse, the French surrealist artist Dora Maar.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you very much, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It is Thursday, the 16th of April, 2026. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes just isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.